The type 7 is the polar opposite of the type 6. We call them the enthusiast, joyful person, generalist, visionary. In short, their qualities are someone who experiences joy. They're creative, they're different, they're spontaneous. They love connecting with people. They're big socializers. They love doing many things at the same time. The reason behind that is that they get bored very easily, and hence they need to be stimulated most of the time. Sevens want to make the world a much more wonderful place, and their focus of attention is exciting options, possibilities to ensure that their life is stimulating. The unconscious childhood message is not okay to depend on anyone for anything because they think that the world is quite overwhelming. People around them are usually very stressed up and they don't know how to have fun. That is the big picture. But these are all their areas of strength: imaginative, excitable, optimistic, all these upbeat qualities. And when overused, they can be quite impulsive because they get impatient with people who are either boring, who are very linear thinking, and those who do not know how to be creative and different. They can be quite rebellious because if they find that people are not being exciting or excitable, this is when they just avoid and they rebel against rules. They don't like rules because rules create too much of discipline. They create too much of strictness. And yes, so they are quite scattered in the mind, which means simply they like to do many things at the same time. Being focused can be a big challenge for sevens. When a type 7 is stressed, they go to 1. And that means because of the involvement of so many things at the same time, they find that they may not be able to handle the amount of information that's happening. So they tend to get very one-ish, which means they tend to put things in a kind of rule form, bulleted, numbered. So they tend to kind of lose their personality whenever they get stressed. But when a 7 is relaxed, they need their own company. So that is, they are much more grounded. They move away from people. They start to focus a lot more and they need their own space. So that's like the opposite of themselves. So when they're relaxed, they actually can stick around by themselves. Do take note, the 7s love freedom. They also are generally very joyful and optimistic. Some of the emotions they have is all the basic happy emotions. They future trip, which means sometimes they cannot stay grounded and stay with the present, but they're always tripping into the future. And we call this type the person who naturally experiences attention deficit disorder. So yes, being focused on something for a long time can be quite difficult for the 7s. Reframe, they're good at reframing, which simply means how to make a negative positive. They can change their thinking very easily, especially if they're struggling. And that's called reframing. Rapid thoughts, the mind moves very fast, which is why 7s also speak very fast. It's hard for them to slow down because boredom sets in. So they tend to move through things very quickly so that they can move on to the next thing. So boredom is a problem for 7s. Bending rules is a big one for 7s because they want things their way. They can be quite demanding about how things should be more interesting. So things are boring, things are very structured. Like in organizations, they can sometimes struggle with too many rules. So they need to create their own rules, and sometimes in the process, they need to bend some rules. Sometimes they're not taken seriously because of their character of joy, laughing, sometimes making fun of things. But that happens with the unhealthy 7. The healthy 7s is just generally a very happy person. And last but not least, they like to escape from pain so that they can keep experiencing pleasant experiences. Hence, unpleasantness becomes very difficult for the type 7.